Hi everyone, welcome to this video on the Taurus season, which we are now in. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you're not new to my channel, welcome back. Now, Taurus is represented in tarot by the Hierophant. Here we have the Hierophant. So we're looking at, as always, archetypal energies and qualities and things like that. Now, this is something new that I'm doing, kind of connecting with the card that relates to the zodiac season that we're in, the sun sign that we're in. So I did it last month with Aries, because the cards talk to me, and the Emperor, who is the sign of Aries in tarot, was kind of talking to me. And I thought, oh, this will be fun. Let's see if this carries on or not. We shall see. Not attached. But so with the Aries, and I did a video on the Aries season, because there were so many planets in Aries now. Made it very powerful. Also, with the fire horse, the Chinese fire horse, there was a lot of fire going on, obviously. Mars also going into Aries and all of these things. And I also did a video, I'll put links in the description. I also did a video with the lovely Amy Bird, astrologer. So as I'm always saying, I'm not an astrologer, but astrology is connected to tarot. But Amy is an astrologer, amybirdastrology.com, highly recommended. I did a video with her and the lovely Liz Nagel, the mystic, the astrologer, the mystic, and the tarot card reader. And we talked about these planets in Aries and the energies at the moment. So we know that Aries is the first sign of the zodiac and represents the I am. It represents your identity. And it also includes loads of fire. Okay, so there's that fire in the belly. And we were talking about how to use that fire in the belly to create the new, rather than using that fire in the belly to express anger and warlike energies like Mars is bringing in, which we can see in the world. In the collective. So about using that fire. So now as we come into Taurus, what can we learn, right? So Taurus is the Hierophant. Now, all archetypes and all energies have a shadow and a light, a shadow and a siddhi, or shadow and its higher self. And it's kind of good to look at both, because we can identify when we're kind of lapsing into the shadow of an energy. So there's shared symbolism between the astrological houses. Not a direct relationship, I don't think, but shared symbolism. So the first house is about you and your identity and yourself, your I am. And so the second house has some shared symbolism with Taurus, the second sign. And so second house symbolism would be value. What do you value? Security, resources, self-worth, embodiment. What is stable and sustaining? Relationship with the material world, and cultivation and patience. There's some key words. But also, of course, Taurus is an earth sign, and it's the fixed earth sign. So we're coming from fire into earth. So the way I see it, everyone will interpret these things differently. The way I see it is whatever new action we were taking in Aries season, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you took, or what new action you took. I certainly did. I did my first workshop in the village in Spanish, and so taking new action, little bit courageous action, bold action, fiery action. It's that fire in the belly. So that was all Aries season. So now what we're being asked to do in Taurus season is to bring it all down to earth. And I think that's a lovely way to look at it. So whatever divine inspiration you had, whatever divine action you've taken, now is the time to really embody that and to bring it down to earth. So it's an earth sign. And that means that it's stable, connected to Mother Earth, of course. And that's why embodiment is a key word for this season, because we're bringing it into the body, bringing it into the physical world, bringing it into our environment, because, Taurus and second house is about what's around us, other people. It's very often about money as well, but I see it more as being material resources rather than just money. So the Hierophant, what does the Hierophant have to tell us? And how can we navigate this Taurus season? Okay, well, the Hierophant is the keeper of ancient knowledge, ancient wisdom. He has traditional perspectives. He has embodied truth. He is the bridge between heaven and earth. And there's an energy of needing discernment here as well. He has humility in service, but he also has a shadow side. Now, what would his shadow side be? Some people look at him like a pope. So some of his shadow side could be dogma. It could be obligation, fear-based. Okay, if there's that God-fearing side of things, control through authority, that kind of thing, and kind of institutional conditioning. So we want to make sure that we're not following any institutional conditioning, and that our programming, that we reset our programming from our sovereign self, because of course the emperor taught us all about sovereignty. So now that we're embodying that sovereignty, aren't we? And we want to listen to our own inner wisdom and come from a place of loving guidance. So we really want to focus on the positive, the higher aspects of the Hierophant. So he is a spiritual teacher. You can see the keys here. The keys show the keys to the secret knowledge, the occult knowledge. Now, for me, that is all about the laws that govern the universe. And that's one of the things I cover in chapter 3, dedicated to the 7 Hermetic principles in my book, Lessons in Awakening, link in the description. So these are the initiates, and he's obviously teaching. So this card is about, I think, being a mentor and seeking a mentor and becoming a mentor. I always think it's like that. So we need to keep learning, in other words, whether we're learning from books and videos or people, it doesn't matter. We could be learning formally or informally, it doesn't matter. But I think this card carries an energy of, please pass on whatever you've learned. Embody it. And in order to embody it, we need to pass on what we've learned, because very often, and I remember learning this when I was training as a teacher, we were learning something like students remember like 50% of what they read, maybe 70% of what they hear. I can't remember the exact percentages, don't quote me. 80% of what they actually do kinesthetically, and 95% of what they teach. And when I first heard that, I remember thinking, surely we must know 100% of what we teach, otherwise we can't teach it. But the truth is we don't. And that's why sharing doesn't have to be teaching, the word teaching, it doesn't have to be, but just sharing and expressing what we've learned is our way of consolidating it within our own consciousness. But also it's a way of embodying, isn't it? Because we know something theoretically, but this Taurus season is all about living that wisdom, living those values. We might know theoretically the things we value in life, but are you living them? You know, a lot of people might say, oh, yes, I'd love a world that is like ABC. Well, if you love a world, if you would love conditional a world that is like ABC, you've got to bring it in. Only you can bring it in. No one else can bring that world in for you. That's why all the great teachers say we have to be the change we want to see in the world. Because if you want to see the world looking like ABC, you have to act ABC. You have to be the ABC, whatever it is that you want to see in the world. You need to be that and act it and do it and yourself. You can't just sit there dreaming, oh, I'd love a world like this, you know, without actually doing anything. Now, Aries season was the change. And so that's where the inspiration may have come in, the fire may have come in, the motivation may have come in. But Taurus season is about doing something about it. It's about bringing it down to earth, bringing heaven to earth, actually embodying it, and bringing it into the cells of your body so that you integrating it, so that you're actually using it in a real life situation. You're not just talking theoretically about it. It is about being that change. So I think that's really important. The values, the things that you value in the world, then we need to start actually living them and embodying those values. And then a lot of the values will include contact with Mother Nature, because we're doing, you know, others and we're doing that groundedness. So Mother Nature is very relevant. What Mother Nature has to offer, our connection with Mother Nature, our connection with her resources, with her natural resources. It's all about cultivating and patience. So it's all about planting seeds in the land of Mother Nature, and then having patience while they grow. So there's a lot of stuff that we can be doing in Taurus season, but a lot of it is following on from who we are now, because we're all evolving so much. So which parts of you in the last Aries season did you let go of? And which parts of you are emerging? Because those parts of you that are emerging, Taurus season is asking you to really live that person. That you've got an opportunity now to not just identify who that is, but to be that person. So embody the truth of who you really are. That's what the Hierophant is saying. But also, yes, of course, learning about the laws of the universe. How on earth can we expect to change ourselves, our reality, our perception of what's going on? Because everything outside of us, everything that we're perceiving as being outside of us, is actually a holographic projection of our frequency. So if we want to change something, you know, we have to change it within us, of course. So understanding how we have created it and taking radical responsibility for being part of the collective, and whatever's going on in the collective, you know, we've contributed to that, whether we've known it or not. So we've got to get rid of judgment here, haven't we? So understanding how we create our own reality is really important, and that's also obviously covered in this book, Lessons in Awakening. So there's a lot of Hierophant wisdom expressed. So Lessons in Awakening is spiritual wisdom that is backed by quantum science, I hasten to add, and expressed through my own personal experiences. So yes, this is very much about embodying that wisdom. The Hermetic principles can be very complex. The book, the Kybalion, I'll put a link into that. The Kybalion, you know, is at a very high frequency, and it relates to our multidimensional nature. So what I've done is simplify them and related them to our human experience, because, you know, they do apply differently depending on your level of consciousness. So yeah, 7 Hermetic principles, definitely. Spiritual wisdom. It's all about not just understanding it theoretically, it's about embodying it and living it from the heart. Like, that's one of the things we're doing. I'll put another link into the Heart Coherence Collaborative, which I'm a member of. I give talks in there as well. And that's an online school a school community, of that school platform, and that's all about coherence, of course, but it's all about embodying, not just this theoretical, spiritual jargon or what have you. It's about living the wisdom. I'll put a link into that in case anyone wants to join. So the other thing about the Hierophant is traditions. And you see, he's very connected to traditions. But what we need to do is use our discernment, because I think that there are some traditions that we could benefit from, maybe going back to basics, being a little bit more traditional in our approach to life. But there are other traditions that I don't think that I'm not in alignment. I can only speak for myself. But for example, I live in Spain, and there is a tradition here, a cultural tradition of being rather horrible to bulls, for example, bullfighting. So, is that a tradition that you want is that your version of heaven on earth? I mean, it's not in mine, okay? So it's basically, which traditions do we want to kind of maintain? Which traditions maybe we want to bring back that have been lost. A lot of the traditions from the indigenous tribes for various places around the world, with strong spiritual connections and strong connections to Mother Earth. Some of those traditions have been lost, haven't they? And I think a lot of those are really valuable. What do you value? Let's bring them back. Group communities, villages bringing up the children rather than, I was a single mum, and all this, I've got to be mum and dad. And my ego was like, I can do everything. All this super independent. Yes, we are sovereign, but not when it's coming from the place of ego, So yeah, we want to go back to, I have this dream about, because I'm not very aligned with the way that babies are born or even people die, especially when it's in a modern day hospital. I would love to go back to where the women are all, or the mothers are all chanting around the woman giving birth. And here in Spain, the word to give birth is actually to give the light, which I think is beautiful. But to go back to that, to chanting, in Malasana, holding on to a big stick, it's gravity, it's all natural, it's natural, and have people, honoring you and holding space for you and allowing Mother Nature's energies to hold you as well. And the same with passing over. I think when transitioning, it's such a shame when people are, shut out from the the room where someone's passing over, and you want to have people chanting and singing and holding space while they make that journey back into the spirit world. And they're just traditions, cultural traditions from various indigenous tribes, that has been lost, I think. And there's lots of others. I'm sure there are some that you're thinking about. Please mention them in the comments if you are. So which traditions do we want to keep? Which traditions do we want to bring back? And which traditions really are not in alignment with divine love and are not in alignment with our divine truth? So just because something's traditional does not mean it's in alignment. So we need to use our discernment, I think. And that's what the Hierophant is telling me, very much so. So that's the qualities of the Hierophant for this Taurus season. He is the Taurus card in tarot. Now, I've got the King of Pentacles here as well. He's not strictly a Taurus card, but Pentacles is the earth sign. And as I said, Taurus is the fixed earth sign, Virgo being the mutable and Capricorn being the cardinal. So he does represent the earth signs, but he does have bulls on his throne, you can see. And so I've always felt that he's quite Taurus in energy. It doesn't mean that the other kings are connected to their fixed sign equivalents. But I've always found him a little bit Taurian. He's focused on money, and that is an energy. He's focused on his abundance. And of course, he's very connected and very stable, very secure, very protective. It's all about this stability and sustainability. And so he also, in tarot, he has the Midas touch. Everything he touches turns to gold. That can only happen when you are in alignment. So I wanted to mention him as well, because we've just been talking about being in alignment. You've got to live the life that you want to see in the world around you. And you've got to embody those aspects of you that you, or those identities that you're aware of. We've got to actually live them. Taurus season is now about living our truth, embodying our truth, and being the person and being the person that we want to be in the world, and allowing other people to be the people that we want them to be in the world. Be the change that you want to see in the world, and embody that change. I think that's what the cards are saying. Embody that change. So that's Taurus. I didn't actually do a card reading, no, but I will do one for May. So I'll do one in a couple of weeks when we enter into May, and we'll have a look and see what the cards have to say about the May energy. But for Taurus season at the moment, this is what we're being asked to do. This is what the Hierophant is asking us to do, to ground, embody, and to live your inner wisdom. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Lots of love to you all. Let me know in the comments, anything that you're embodying at this time. And I send you lots and lots of love. So bye for now.